This right here is a premium ding-dong. Switch your brain on, Nick. We're all here, come on. Finally, we got another debate on telly. I love a good vegan telly debate. What I'm expecting is the vegan, and it is Ed this time, will not really get as much time to speak as other people. All right, because God forbid you let a vegan speak. Oh God, don't want to do that. Bad things happen when you do that. Let's see, shall we? Am I right?
All right, we're going to talk about veganism, a slight change in topic. With us is a vegan activist and campaigner, Ed Winters. Hello to you, Ed. He's written a book called This is Vegan Propaganda. He's better known as Earthling Ed. He goes around the world trying to convert the most unlikely people to his cause. Here he is at a rodeo in Texas.
I get it. And I understand that. And all I want to do is just chat to you about it. No. It doesn't. I used to. What about my shoes? No, I don't.
It's so funny when, like, you're on the street and people are trying to call you out for your shoes. It's like, don't you think if I'm out here, I'm gonna probably not wear the bodies of animals if I'm telling people not to freaking, like, eat the bodies of animals? I mean, you know, hypocrisy is the case, but it is merely an appeal to hypocrisy. It wouldn't take away from the argument at hand. That's when you know they haven't got very much to say. You know, ding-dongs.
I don't drive, so that's fine. My shoes also, they're just fabric.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Because you don't have to hurt animals, right?
Okay.
Brave, Ed. I mean, do you ever fear for your safety?
No, not really, because the majority of people I speak to are very reasonable and we can open up and have conversations. Just sometimes when we go to places, obviously at rodeos where it can be more heated, it's more likely there's going to be a little bit of animosity. But by and large, I always have very productive and fruitful conversations with people.
Fuck it. Big ups, right? Big ups, because you, like, a lot of the time, does anyone remember that farmer lady? And she was like, yeah, you do get death threats, you do get them. And it turned out that she never received a death threat. She just heard one of her friends say that they'd got a death threat. He could have taken the opportunity to be like, yeah, God, yeah, it gets a bit scary. But he decided to be like, no, people are fair. Yeah, we have good discussions. You know, I wish that a lot of the time when you see the non-vegans, they would have the same charity. But no.
People.
And what turned you into a vegan?
Well, there was two things that really led me to veganism. And the first was I came across this story about a truck crashing on the way to a slaughterhouse near Manchester. And the truck was carrying about 6,500 chickens. And the journalist had said that hundreds had died from the impact, but there were hundreds more who were suffering. Some were running into oncoming traffic. And I started to feel sympathy for chickens, which I'd never done before. But in my fridge was a KFC because fried chicken was my favorite food when I used to eat animals. And so I was feeling sorry for chickens, but also consuming them and paying for them to go to slaughterhouses to have their life taken from them. So there's a bit of a paradox. So I thought about my values when it came to animals, and I thought about how I viewed my relationship with non-human animals. And I said, you know, if I'm against animal cruelty, then what could be more cruel than subjecting an animal to a life where they're farmed and exploited, mutilated, have their autonomy denied to them, and then are ultimately taken to a slaughterhouse and put in a gas chamber or have their throat cut. So that turned me to vegetarianism. And then
Did you know?
8 months later, I went vegan because I saw a documentary called Earthlings. And at that time, I had a hamster called Rupert, who was like my pet at that time. And I remember looking at Rupert after watching this documentary, which is very objective about what happens to animals and pretty uncompromising when it comes to the brutality of what we do. And I remember looking at my hamster Rupert and saying, he's a little individual with a personality, you know, likes and dislikes. And I thought about all the animals who are exploited for dairy, eggs, meat, and all the other ways that we harm them for things that we just take for granted in everyday society.
The people in the background, I don't know, they should maybe mute when they're not talking, but because you can hear them going like they're desperate to talk.
Society. And I thought about how I could morally justify that. And I realized that there was no moral justification to arbitrarily and unnecessarily exploit someone else when I don't have to.
All right, Ed, just stay with us. Nick, I'm going to ask all of you, actually. Are Are you a vegan? Have you ever considered being a vegan?
I've never considered being a vegan. I have nothing but respect for people who are vegans. My partner's daughter is a vegan, so this Christmas I cooked my first ever vegan Christmas.
Did you?
I did. I also had somebody who couldn't get out of the country who was Muslim, so I did halal, and I did a
I swear this guy has had a debate with a vegan before. Am I just imagining? Is this like a fever dream? I swear he's had a discussion with a vegan. Never considered it. Never even. Wow, okay.
turkey as well. So it was like being a restaurant.
That's impressive.
I know. I did all three, Joe. I did all three.
Jenny, what about you?
I am very impressed by Nick's
might
Christmas
invite
dinner.
you
No,
next
I'm,
year.
I'm not a vegan. I'm not a vegan.
And would you ever consider it?
Probably not. I mean, I like
I said that.
corned beef slice.
I said that. I said that. Now look at me. Now look at me. God, I'm such a salad now. God, such a cultist. I said, oh, I could never do it. Oh, you wouldn't catch me. I love organ meats too much. Yeah, I love them. No, you wouldn't catch me being a weirdo vegan.
Rice and gravy and
LBC.
pork pies and scotch.
Madame, you can have all of those things, but vegan. Best pork pies I've ever had are vegan ones. Hell yeah. You just have to like cook them or find them. Like these things are coming out more and more every single year. Didn't have a vegan pork pie till last year. Now we have one. Love. It's great. Love it.
Eggs and there's
meat?
There's a very fine pie shop in Darlington called Taylor's, and I'm a very keen customer, and I just couldn't do without it. But I like vegan food as well.
This is a person who's not made the connection at all to the animals. It's really interesting how Ed literally just said all of that about the autonomy of individual beings. And then she's like, no, I love pork pies. Come on.
There you
Alva?
go.
Well, I think if you had to define it, I would be a flexitarian. I try not to eat very much.
I mean, I respect everybody's choices. Okay, I'm fine. Yeah, just something. Not feeling very well, clearly.
Meat more for environmental reasons,
no way.
but I just think veganism is a big challenge. I think it's great.
A big challenge. Oh God! Come on. It's a challenge to do a marathon. It's a challenge to, I don't know, keep your arms in the air for a really long time. It is not a challenge to look at animals and go, probably kind of wrong if their throats were slit. I won't pay for that. What is this?
Advocating for people to eat fewer animal products, but it's such a lifestyle commitment. I have lots of friends who are vegans, and you really have to be quite a good cook to make it work.
No, you don't. You're giving us far too much credit, okay? Like, I'm an alright cook, right? My food combinations are a bit strange. I think Gordon Ramsay would call me an idiot sandwich. But, wait, you don't have to be a freaking Michelin star chef or an amazing cook to put seasoning in food. Like, damn. Just know a few basic rules. Put this in before this. This goes in longer than this. Jobs are good in. Or, like, what you making? Tikka masala or something like that. Okay. Make sure that the protein that you have in it isn't a dead animal. Oh, there you go. Easy. Oh, look at that. Very nice. Very easy. That was sorted, wasn't it? How is veganism a challenge in the UK precisely? Like, and this is the thing as well, when we've seen the recent study that came out demonstrating that veganism can slash your food bill by 1/3 in the UK. So it can be cheaper. And it's just not, I don't understand. And a lot of these things that you can purchase are already seasoned. You put them in the oven. You just put them in the oven. You go, oh, this needs 20 minutes. All right. I'll come back in 20 minutes then.
I respect everything that Ed is saying. I believe in animal welfare. I believe that we have a duty to animals to care for them. But I think that if people choose not to eat meat...
If you have a duty to care for animals, then how are you caring for them? If you exploit them and you pay for them to be killed? What's caring about exploiting an individual and having them killed at a fraction of their lifespan? If we do have a duty of care, like you say, and I concur, we do indeed have a duty of care to individuals, then we should actually follow through with that duty and not do things that would suggest that we don't care, like taking their lives away from them and objectifying them and exploiting them. Not very caring things. Not very we don't appreciate that.
To be vegan or vegetarian, that's freedom of choice. So people should make their own decisions. Ed can make his arguments, but the rest of us have to decide what's best for us. I don't think it's something that it should be, you're evil if you eat meat, you're a bad person. I do think that the facts should be there and people should be able to make their own decisions in a free society.
Ed, would you like to try and persuade Jenny, for example?
What's that bullshit? We get it. We want freedom. But if it comes at the violation of the rights of others, then we are like, no, actually, you don't have the freedom to do what you want. Good example would be murder. Need I say any more? There has to be some sort of threshold when you're within a society that considers those members or individuals who aren't necessarily like, you know, conforming members, like, you know, like domesticated animals, like cows, dogs, chickens, pigs, cats. It has to consider all these individuals within it. So that's why we're like, okay, well, we want freedom. We want people to be able to make choices. We want individuals to be free as much as possible. However, if that starts coming at the cost of others, we have to reassess how free that individual can really be. That's why we have these rules in place. So I don't know if you even believe that. If you were pushed a bit further, you would soon demonstrate, probably, that you share the view that actually people can't just do whatever they want. We can't just respect the individual's choice, because sometimes the choices that people make are detrimental to others. So this is bobbycock, quite frankly.
Who loves her pie shop in Darlington.
Absolutely. I mean, Jenny, the question that we have to ask ourselves is what has higher value, you know, sensory pleasure, the enjoyment we get from eating these animal products, or the lives of these sentient beings? Because when we say that we are allowed to do what we do to animals because we enjoy how they taste, we're saying that the 15 minutes or so of sensory pleasure that we get from consuming them has higher value and is worth more than their entire existence. Because of course, when we eat animal products, including dairy and eggs, an animal's autonomy has been denied to them. They've been exploited throughout their entire life, and they all end up in a slaughterhouse where they're put in a gas chamber or have their throat cut.
All right,
so that's the question.
Jenny, are you persuaded?
I mean, I'm not. I'm not anti-vegan. I enjoy vegan food.
Are you going to answer the question? Oh, is she going to answer the question? Is she not going to answer the question?
But I enjoy other things too. I do agree, though, with what's been said about information. And I think that...
Yeah, she's not going to answer the question then.
Us having a better understanding of where our food comes from. I think the more food that is produced here...
Hello? Lucio!
How about you answer the fucking question, Jenny?
No, Pixie, I love it when they don't answer. It's like my favourite thing. It excites me, essentially. Okay?
Here in the UK that we eat, the better. Farmers' jobs, very important. And actually,
yeah, farmers' jobs are important. Have you heard this thing that they do where they grow crops? You wouldn't be without farmers. We'd still need food. It's just that that food wouldn't violate the rights of other sentient beings.
I mean, but we can still protect livelihoods of farmers.
But also the environment. And there are, you know, I think that we need to, if I had my way, most of what I ate would come from the region where I live. It wouldn't be imported across the world and use vast amounts of water or take up rainforest to produce. I want to eat locally. I want to eat high quality, nutritious food. And
how are those animals killed, Jenny?
I know how they're killed. You've done actually a fair... Well, I don't need to because you just have.
No, Jenny, I'd like you to tell me how they're killed.
You might like me to, but I think we all know. What I want to do...
We know, but you're, like, dodging it. This is what I try and do. I try and see if people have actually heard what I've said, because it's all well and good you telling them it, but, you know, if they've not recalled it, then have they ingested it necessarily? Sometimes people can just switch off and be like, yeah, no, you said... I do it all the time when people are giving me instructions. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, you did it. Yeah, you did a really good job explaining. I don't know what the fuck you just told me to do. But it's all well and good to say what you would say if you were there, but I would love to have a discussion on live television about this. Oh, I'd love it. Yeah, but the environment, though. The environment's very important, but why is it important? Well, to the inhabitants, you know, so that they can carry on living their lives. But the life of an individual, apparently not important though. Like, make it stop. This is a meme.
Is eat a varied diet, and I'm not against anything that you're doing. All power to you. But I think as well that it's fair for others who maybe have a different ethical framework to you to make the choices that they want to make and to support their local food.
Yeah, but the thing is, what is your ethical framework? And I bet you it isn't consistent with your actions. Because for your ethical framework to be consistent with what you're doing, it would then, because you seem to have agreed with the livelihood over everything. Hello?
Ninja should register to a ninja academy because she dodges everything instinctually.
Lucio, get it. Dodgy be dodging, right? Classic ninja behaviour. But no, I would be interested in what your moral framework even is. Because I don't think you consistently... I don't think you have a position whereby you are being consistent when you do this. I think you probably hold the same moral worldview that freaking Ed does. Probably. Because that's the thing, when it comes to veganism, I didn't have to change really any of my opinions. I just had to change my actions. That was it. I always thought, animals, all animals, including human beings, were individuals and they were deserving of their own lives. And that their life was important intrinsically. It didn't, it wasn't what they could do for me, wasn't what they could bring to me or anybody else. Their life is theirs. I've always believed that. So then I had to act as if I believed that. That was the only difference.
Producers.
Can I just pick up on something, Ed? Because in terms of this assumption by many people that going vegan is a healthy and healthier option, we've done a little bit of research, and Ian Givens, Professor of Food Chain Nutrition, Director of Food at Reading University, he warns about the risks that come with cutting out meat and dairy without replacing the nutrients they provide. Could include weak bones, osteoporosis.
Are you daft? Yes, it's the case that if you cut out a food group, you want to ensure that the food group is being replaced with something else. Can't read minds, okay? I can't. I know, I cannot read minds. It's amazing. You may have thought I could, but I indeed cannot read minds. However, I have a feeling this was inserted in order to make veganism sound bad, to make it sound difficult, to make it support the Ed looks like he's dying inside. Look, he's just like, for fuck's sake, here we fucking go. Oh, man.
Porosis, well, that is, I suppose, weak bones and potential life-changing fractures in adulthood. Do you accept it's not an easy option in terms of being able to have a balanced diet?
Oh, my God. And then if you look at, freaking the Academy Nutrition Dietetic Statement showing that, it can actually be really helpful in the reducing the risk of some of our top diet-related killers. You're not going to mention that, are we? Okay? It is the case that some things will come with a certain risk, but if you can then be healthy and then, ensure less risk factors are within your diet, you'd be say, for example, this one causes strokes. So there's a higher risk of having a stroke. But this one has a higher risk of heart disease, many types of cancers, diabetes, and then, a further list. Okay, I'd be like, oh, well, I guess I'll take my risk with this one. Yeah. I just, this is slimy behaviour. What is your name, madam? Slimy behaviour. All right, I know you're just the messenger. But someone gave that to you and they were being particularly slimy at the time, weren't they? Yes, I know now. I do.
And actually could...
Oh my God!
Did you know, vegans looking they are dying on the inside is not actually caused by nutrient deficiency, but because of the bullshit ding-dongs spew at a concerning rate?
Yes, and that's when we saw the data of the stroke risk associated with, plant-based eating. The strokes just objectively, right? I'm clearly being sarcastic, but obviously it is because we have to deal with ding-dongs, and I feel a stroke incoming every single time I'm having to deal with one. I feel it. So yeah, true, but thank you so much, Lucio, again, hitting me with a tip, just the French tip.
Result in you damaging your health.
Well, it's easy
Slap
when
them
you're
down.
educated, and of course we have to
Slap
be
them down.
educated on how we get our nutrients. And so the word you use, which is really important, is replacing. So of course, if we switch from animal products to plant products and don't replace the calcium and the iron that we get from the animal products, then we will have problems. But once we recognize where we can get iron and calcium and the nutrients that we need from plants, it's just as easy as making those swaps. So everyone who makes a change and everyone who eats, which is all of us, should be, fundamentally aware of where we get our nutrients from, vegan or not. But it's still absolutely possible, which has been confirmed by the British Dietetic Association, the NHS, who have all said that a plant-based diet can be healthy, which of course means making sure that we're eating all the nutrients that we need.
Andrew?
Yeah, look, all this is fine. And I agree with what Jenny has said, that you are making great arguments and people listening can make the choices about what they want to do, how they live their lives, what they choose to eat. So please carry on making the arguments you're making. More and more people are becoming vegans. I'm aware of that.
I feel like this is a good example, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong and he would change, but there are so many people like this who... How do I say this in a nice way? Oh, man, I'm just a cock. I just have to accept that, okay? Basically, some people are like... I'm one of these people in some ways, okay? Please lead the way. Please direct me. I don't want to do this by myself. I need to be forced into this. There are so many people like that who don't want to kind of go out there and do things that they probably think are right to do. Inside they're like, oh, I should do something about that, but I don't want to. There's something holding me back. I feel a bit nervous about this. I just get that vibe.
And that's their choice. But we live in a free society, so...
Yeah, again, you are the silly ding-dong who probably doesn't think that freedom over everything. I don't think you think that. Otherwise, you'd probably not be in favour of, the criminal justice system. Are you in favour of the criminal justice system? Because sometimes giving freedom comes at the cost of violating the rights of others. And there is a repercussion for that because we are indeed, as you say, a society. We have to look out for more than just one individual having that freedom. A lot of the time, someone's freedom comes at someone else's expense, and that's a problem. Free is right. I don't even know what he really means by free anyway, because I'm assuming it's free to make the choices I want to make, but I don't think you even believe that fundamentally, so...
People must make their own decisions about what's best for them, but I do really take on Nick's point about our farming community and the livelihoods of people, and I think that
which can be made bigger, as Jenny was saying. Let's get more out there.
And locally home produced food is exactly what we should be doing, and hopefully Brexit will help us to do that better.
Well, I mean, on that, I think that is a serious point about doing the trade deals that we're going to do. I think one of the fundamental principles we must make sure we don't lose sight of is that our high food standards and the quality of the food we produce here is protected, and that we can make that food more affordable and available for people and not undermine it.
And just finally, Ed, what about Andrew's point about, and Nick's, livelihoods, about farm?
What? Make it more affordable? Then you're talking about, there's a discussion to be had about, because people talk about, taxation and freedom. Well, if you want to make it more affordable, then you have to put more subsidies into it, put more taxpayer money into it. So I just... the only reason, primarily one of the reasons that animal agriculture products are seen as quite cheap is because of subsidies being pumped into them. Maybe I'm just politically illiterate, but I think there's a discussion to be had about a corporation that can bail itself out when it fails, like animal agriculture. I don't feel like you're in a free society if those corporations that are failing, that are just freaking destroying the planet, when their demand sucks, they can just be like, oh, well, we'll just pump more people's money into it. I don't know. This doesn't compute with me. I just don't think that sounds very, free. I don't feel comfortable with my money. I feel kind of constricted by that. And I don't have a choice in that matter. Even when I'm vegan, even when I boycott all this stuff, I still have to give my money, and it goes to them. I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't compute, okay? I don't understand.
Farmers, about that whole community.
Well, vegans support farmers and support farmers' livelihoods as well. But of course, what we need is a just and fair agricultural system that supports the planet, that supports us as humans. And the system that we have right now is doing the opposite. I mean, animal farming in the UK, for example, just animal farming uses 48% of the entire land mass. And yet when we look at our intactness of biodiversity, out of 218 countries, we were ranked 189. So there's a big problem where farmers aren't stewarding the land in the way that they should. So we need a different agricultural system, but that doesn't mean...
I just don't get how it's a free society when so many of the sentient beings within it are literally held captive and exploited. Like, what?
That we just disregard the livelihoods of animal farmers. It means that we help them to transition to plant-based farming or rewilding, and they become publicly funded land managers who are subsidized just as they are now to recreate nature rather than to continue to destroy it.
Convinced, Andrew?
Well, some of it may well be correct. And the great thing is that we've got control of our farming policy again, and we can decide what our priorities are. We can decide if we subsidise farmers for doing different types, different usage for their land. And that's our decision now. So we can make our own choices, as the British people must make their own choice about whether they wish to be vegan, vegetarian.
This dude, Andrew, has said nothing but choice though, which he probably doesn't even fully believe in. Because you can't really believe in choice though if you are for the choice being taken away from the animals. What about their choice? What about that? No, fuck them, I guess.
Continue to eat meat.
Nick?
Publicly funded land managers.
What do they think they're saying when they're like, yeah, people will continue to eat meat? It's just like, cool. People will probably continue to murder until humans no longer exist. That does not tell you whether or not it's right or wrong, or it doesn't strengthen your argument when you are talking about this topic.
The hell are they? Just put the bloke or woman on his or her tractor and let them go and feed the sheep or the cattle and take them to market. It's been going fine for centuries.
But it's not doing fine, Nick, is it? Because we know that animal agriculture is one of the leading drivers of climate change and results in the death and exploitation of billions of animals. It's the opposite of doing fine. We're warned.
This right here is a premium ding-dong. Like, did you hear the nonsense that just excreted from his mouth? Like, it's like, what? Well, it's not doing fine though, isn't it? Switch your brain on, Nick. We're all here, come on.
Time and time again by the UN, by the leading environmental organisations around the world that we need to change
one question. Have you had powers? Would you seek to restrict people eating meat? Were you to have powers?
No.
You would not.
I don't want to mandate things. I want to educate people to understand that there's a better.
I fucking would. I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah, mandate it. Just like I'd mandate anti-murder laws. Hell yeah. I'd go on there and say it. I'd just be like, right, gonna clutch my balls. Time to upset some people. Hell yeah. What's the difference between humans and other animals that would justify exploiting and killing them? Go. Unless you want me to start being like, oh yeah, no, you can kill dogs. Let's just kill all the dogs now. Dog meat. Elwood's organic dog farm. Let's go. Let's go.
Ethical, more sustainable and healthier way ultimately.
Maybe he was just trying to not say it to not freak him out.
Farm and use other views.
All right, on that, Earthling Ed.
Of course they do, but we...
England already has had derivative animal protection. Killing the king's stags would get you hung. Yep, and even now, you have animal cruelty laws where you don't even necessarily kill a dog. But if you're cruel to them, you can have your freedoms restricted. It already exists.
We can have open conversations.
We can, and I've enjoyed it.
And we've had a very open conversation. Thank you very much for joining us. Moving on.
Not as painful as I expected, but pretty painful nonetheless. Yeah, true, like, probably no point saying yes anyway, because it isn't even an option, and they are just doing it to make him sound extreme, even though if held consistent, you'd see that their views, like, agree with him, probably.